We leave tonight, Garak says, under cover of darkness before the moon turns full. But first, he goes on, there's something else I want to show you. You descend a narrow, unlit stair where the air smells of damp stone and old lamp oil, down to the cellar. A great oak door bars your way. 2 guards stand motionless before it. At your approach, they step aside and throw it open. Beyond lies a broad hall, stocked with every manner of supply. Sacks of flour, barrels, crates of provisions, and rows of shelves crowded with weapons, shields, and armor. Given the nature of this mission, it's wise to resupply, Garak continues. Here you'll find water and rations. As for the arms, they're modest pieces. Take what you need, if you think you'll need it. A sturdy, no-nonsense woman of middle years steps in front of you and points to a table. This is what I've prepared, like it or not, and before you lay a hand on the weapons, you ask me. She moves off, snapping brisk orders at a pair of underlings. Among the provisions laid out, you choose food that's filling and easy to carry. Hard bread, strips of smoked meat, and a few water skins to sling over your shoulder. You turn your attention to the other sections of the room, where the weapons are kept. They're good pieces, well maintained. If this is what he keeps in his storeroom, you wonder what the master of the house hides in his coffers. Perhaps the young fellow who wanted to slip in here for a grand heist had the right idea. Depending on how things go, you might be interested yourself. Baal is already elbow-deep in gear. He hauls on a breastplate that's so small on him it looks ridiculous. He grips a 2-handed war axe, cleaves the air with it as if it weighed nothing, tests its balance. In the end, he discards it and returns to his trusty mace. Several items catch your eye. Weapons and armor serve fighters, but your art is swift movement. Every pound you add robs you of agility. You lay your hands on a set of throwing knives, thin and well-balanced. A small hand crossbow piques your curiosity. It lacks a bow's range, but it's fine work in tight spaces. You stow both in your bag. Tell me, you ask the woman, ever seen a cloak woven of fabric that blends with shadows even without darkness, as if it were made of mist? Fairy tales, she shoots back without hesitation. I find cloaks in wool and leather, if that's what you need. Then you notice a blade hanging off to the side, almost hidden in the corner. The room's light doesn't reach it, and yet the metal seems to cast its own glow, a reddish sheen, like embers under ash. What can you tell me about that, you ask? That one? It's been there a long while. The last 3 owners died badly. Folks started saying it brings ill luck, and since then everyone's kept their distance. She lifts it from its hook with a cloth, careful not to touch the steel. You don't believe in bad luck. You flip it, roll it in your hands, testing its quality. It is unusually light, the blade bent to an uncommon curve, the guard etched with unfamiliar motifs. The edge is flawless. You couldn't say why, but you feel this weapon is not like the others. You decide to tempt fate. You take it. All yours, the woman says at once, perhaps relieved to be rid of it. Enough lingering, Garak cuts in, returning with 2 men bearing heavy sacks over their shoulders. If you have what you need, we're off. Now follow me. It's time, you think. Your new mission begins now. He leads you farther down, along a narrow, clammy stair. You reach a web of tunnels well lit by torches, and Garak moves through them with unerring ease. Is this one of the routes you use to move your goods, you venture? Your intuition is sound, he replies without turning, but I'll say no more than that. After a run of tight corridors, hairpin turns and branching ways, you emerge outdoors in another quarter of the city. The sun has only just set, yet the night is already deep. The moon has not yet risen. You look around, trying to make out the dark shapes. You gather you're in a kind of cemetery. All around stand monumental tombs of archaic aspect. This is an ancient burial ground, Garak says. Once, the greatest lords were laid to rest here. Now, It's a heap of ruins. No one sets foot here anymore, save the odd, desperate scavenger. Ahead looms a tall, imposing mausoleum, crowned with sharp pinnacles, some half collapsed. Above the great stone door, an inscription reads, "Here lies." The name of the dead is abraded, worn by time, or perhaps erased in spite. "Open up," Garak orders. The two men set down their heavy sacks and heave with all their strength. The door doesn't budge, not even a creak. Bale adds his shoulder. After a few dry cracks, a squeal, the door begins to move. Slowly at first, then it swings wide with a dull boom. "Take a last look at the sky," Garak murmurs. "We won't see it for some time. Perhaps some will never see it again," you think, and say nothing. Inside, you light a torch. The interior is ancient, lavish, overfull with decorations out of fashion. On walls, frescoes that are hard to read by torchlight. You study them in the half-light. You think you make out demonic figures busy torturing with lances and claws. Perhaps that's what they are, or perhaps your eyes invent where they cannot see. The room is small and circular. In the center, a run of steps descends to a wooden door swollen with damp. You have no trouble breaking it with a couple of well-placed kicks. You pass into the understructure. The air is cold and wet. The smell of mildew hangs on everything. Now and then the tick of condensation drops breaks the oppressive silence. You follow a corridor only a few dozen paces long. On each side it opens into two rectangular chambers. In the weak torchlight, you make out half-opened chests, and, in the other room, two human forms slumped on the floor, now reduced to skeletons, clad in chainmail and armed with spears. The complex isn't large, but the darkness and your caution force a slow pace. At the end of the passage, you reach the last chamber at last. It's broader, but bare of ornament. The walls are rough stones thrown together. The floor is uneven. At the center, a sarcophagus of black stone. Massive, imposing. "Yes, this is the room. My sources spoke of a passage leading farther down," Garak says. "It should be here, somewhere." You light more torches. You search the chamber, but no passages or panels reveal themselves. You thump the walls in case of hollows, hunt for signs of trapdoors or secret doors. You find nothing. "We're finding nothing," the men report. "A blind alley? Could my sources be wrong?" Garak grits his teeth. "Unacceptable. Keep looking." "Wait," you say. "We haven't inspected the sarcophagus." The guards hesitate, trading fearful looks. Perhaps they fear to open a sarcophagus out of superstition. Garak nods to Bale. He sets his feet and heaves at the lid, once, twice, but the slab doesn't shift a hair. "If even he can't move it, maybe we should go. Clearly there's nothing here," someone whispers. Silence, Garak snaps, irritated. You approach the sarcophagus and brush it. The stone is cold, hard, perfectly polished. You feel, or rather you sense, a minute vibration, like a shiver or a small shock prickling your fingertips. A first visual inspection turns out nothing, but you know some sophisticated mechanisms are nearly invisible, or, at times, hidden in the very structure of the stone. You draw your new dagger and tap lightly with the pommel, bit by bit across the surface, on the lid and along the sides. You listen to the sounds, to their resonance. The others watch without understanding. You're about to give up when a tap returns a different echo, a dull rebound, a cavity. "There's something here," you murmur. You bring a torch close. On the flank of the sarcophagus, you can make out the fine outline of a square, no larger than an inch, almost invisible to the naked eye. "A button," Garak says. "Perhaps a secret mechanism, perhaps our key to go on. Or a trap," you reply. Experience has taught you to be extremely cautious, especially in places like this. With the pommel, you apply the barest pressure. At first, nothing. You press a little harder, a faint click. The button sinks. An instant later, the unthinkable. The ceiling cracks with a roar. You dive aside on instinct. Air lashes your cheek, the floor shudders. A boulder smashes down a handspan from you, coughing up dust and shards. Your caution has saved you. A heartbeat's hesitation, and nothing would have remained of you but powder. Impossible, hisses Garak, more enthralled than alarmed. Between the monolith and the sarcophagus, a sliver of space remains. You slide your arm in, find the button with your fingers, and press it again. This time, no trap. From deep within the stone comes the dull churn of mechanisms engaging. The lid shifts a handspan, as if urged by hidden gears, then stops. You try to move the lid, but it's still too heavy. They all lends his strength, and together you slide it aside until it topples with a boom that rings through the chamber. The interior now lies open. You peer inside. There is no body. In truth, it isn't a coffin at all. What you see is a stair, narrow and steep, dropping into darkness toward deeper levels. Even with the torches, you can see only a few steps. Excellent, Garak smiles. Your presence has already been worth the risk. Without you, we'd have turned back empty-handed. The two guards exchange a look. They would have preferred that outcome. You pause a moment on the brink. Ahead, unbroken dark. No one can know what waits below. The guards, visibly unnerved, hesitate, then take the first step. You follow, one by one, with care. The steps are steep and slick. From far off you think you hear a dull thud, like heavy doors shutting behind you. You could swear it's the sound of the mausoleum's great doors closing at your back, or perhaps it's only your imagination.